Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, Chelsea. How are you doing? It's been a long time since we've last met and done some chatting.
Yeah,
Um,
it has. It has been a while.
yeah. I think I'm not gonna lie, I think we were talking about the fact that the editing was becoming a little bit difficult, and then we realized that actually we can simplify it for ourselves. And so this is trying again without having to be so perfect. And I think it's better as well because we're just being real. Not that we were over perfecting it anyway, but cutting out certain things like if we were laughing too much or whatever.
Yeah, now you're just gonna have to listen to my annoying laugh. So
Yeah.
apologies.
Yeah, no, that's fine. What have you been up to? What has changed? What hasn't changed? Where are you right now?
Um, I feel like everything's changed, if I'm honest. Yeah, everything's just feels crazy at the moment. How about you?
Um, just always on, really. And at this dreadful job, I really cannot wait to leave. I mean, I am doing this whilst I'm sitting here and I can look across and I'll see my colleagues, and I have no more energy. Like, I think the part of me, well, I know that parts of me died when Mila died, right? But the part of me that had the motivation to do this job absolutely has died when she died. Like, my priorities were so much different. And it's such a sales job that when I started doing it, the whole thing was like, oh, I'm going to make sure I'm the best, quote unquote, for myself, not compared to other people, so that I can, make sure that I provide to my daughter because it's commission based, right? So I know that during that first year when I was working here, I was really good. Um, and then obviously my daughter's dead now. Like, what am I doing it for? And obviously I still have a Rinze, but I just don't care for it. Like the morals are not the same. People just chat so much shit, and I'm so over it. That's my
Mm.
rant for the day.
It is, it's true. It's like your perspective on life just changes, doesn't it? It's like we know now what's important, and it's our family, it's our loved ones, it's, making memories, knowing that life can be taken from us in an instant, and
Mm,
we don't want to like waste it just, doing stuff we don't enjoy or don't have the
absolutely.
love for. Mm.
Absolutely. Like they were just having a chat about someone who they know who's been diagnosed with cancer. And then I've got one colleague who she's very hardcore, cutthroat, doesn't give a shit. It's all about money for her. And then she was like, oh, it makes you think, doesn't it? It makes you think that life isn't just work. And I was like thinking to myself, yeah, it isn't. And that's been me since December 2022. Like
Mm.
there is more to life. Um, in the sense of like because life can be taken away, the fact that I'm still here by force, um, I have to do what matters to me. So yeah, I hope that I'm
On
sure
that,
what people relate with.
Sands was actually advertising jobs the other day.
I applied.
Did you? I
I've
thought
been
of you.
applying. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I applied for the sales one, not the stories manager, if you saw that one, because I want part-time role. I want to work from home.
yeah,
Putting that out in the universe. That's what I
yeah.
need. But yeah, getting into the episode today. Um, Originally we've actually recorded this, but we thought we would redo it. It was meant to be in March, wasn't it? Because it
Hmm.
was Pregnancy After Loss Awareness Month. So this is actually what this episode will be about. So if anyone who, you know, doesn't resonate with this, please, feel free to leave this episode. We're just talking about our lived experience through pregnancy after loss, what that does mentally, what that does physically, and what that journey is like to parent after loss. And I guess it goes well with you also saying that you are.
Mm. Yeah, trigger warning. Yeah, I am expecting again. So this is pregnancy after loss for the second time round. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's tough. I thought it'd be like easier, but no, it turns out you've got the same worries, the same anxieties and stresses and everything as before. And
Yeah.
now just a living child to, look after as well and feel like you've got to be sane for, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine just how many different elements there are to that. Um,
Mm.
and I think a little bit like how I feel sometimes where I'm looking after Arinze or I'm looking after Myla in whatever way I find is suitable for that specific day or moment. And then feeling like you're not doing enough for the living
Ah,
child and not doing enough for the baby who's not here. And I'm sure for you now, it must feel like you're dividing yourself in three, right?
yeah, 100%, 100%. And it's like, and obviously, I think apart, like, obviously, when Eli died and I got Dakota and stuff, like, I can't feel like I can complain at all about parenthood. Like, like when you're exhausted, you're just having a bad day. I feel like I can't complain. Not that I would, but like now, obviously, I'm getting older as well, bearing in mind what Eli had before this year. This is like since 2021, I've literally been pregnant every year. So my body is literally feeling it this time round as well. And like obviously chasing after Dakota, I absolutely love it, don't get me wrong, but I am exhausted. My hips, I was literally saying last night, my hips just feel like they're non-existent, like they're not connected. Like I'm in so much pain. And I hate moaning. Like, I mean, I don't like being pregnant now anyway. But yeah, I just feel like I can't vent to anyone. Do you know what I mean?
I completely agree and understand what you're saying. Like, I remember, you know, feeling like you want to not necessarily complain. I mean, obviously, it is. I don't want to call it complaining because you're just expressing how you're feeling. It's
Mm.
okay to feel exhausted. It's okay to feel tired. It is hard work. But at the same time, you sort of feel guilty because you're like, well, this is what I wanted. And it's the same like when with Orenze, sometimes people ask me questions like even here at work, and they like talking about their children who they had no complications in having, and they're like,
Hmm.
oh, that little shit. But they say it in a way it's like, oh, they give me so much like aggro, like it's so much hard work, like, I should have thought twice or whatever. That sort of energy. And I can't relate to that. I
Mm-mm.
cannot relate to that. Like,
No, I'm exactly the same. Things like that really bug me.
and then when they ask me, "Oh, what's it like? Do you hate it or do you?" And I'm even if I did, I don't feel like I can say
Mm-mm.
that I do, like because of the
Because of
effort
what
that it took
we've
to
been
get there.
through. Yeah,
Yeah. Like
I'm literally
they can be
exactly the
taken away
same.
from us like this,
Yeah.
So
And I
ugh,
think I remember as well when I was so obviously after Eli died, not long after, I had a friend and she had a baby a couple of months after, and I remember her putting on her Instagram story or something just how tired she was because the baby kept her up all night, and I was like she was moaning about it, and I was like, do you know what I would do to have that?
mm,
But then, in a way, looking back, it was probably like it was insensitive of her because she knew full well that I'd see that. And you're just like, yeah, like time and a place for it. But like now, like I would never say, I don't know, I don't know, I wouldn't complain. Like I feel like I can't complain about being knackered or if Dakota was up in the night. Like it's just it's what it is.
yeah. I mean, it's so difficult to put yourself in the other position because who would we be if our, Eli and Mila were here when we had them
Oh,
the
this
first
is
time
it.
around?
This
Like,
is it.
yeah,
If
we
Eli
might have
was
been those
here,
people,
I'd
right?
probably be like, oh, baby kept me up all night last night. I'm exhausted. Like, give me a break. Like, it's true. Your whole mindset, everything changes
Yeah,
it when, your baby does.
yeah,
It
absolutely.
is it is crazy. I mean, I'm a different person since he died, to be fair. Like, I don't think I am really the same at all.
And even for
Obviously, some
people,
aspects I
yeah,
am,
of
but
course,
yeah,
of
not as
course,
I was.
yeah. And I think like even for people who like are not like us, let's say, who don't talk about their babies often, who don't honor them, but still, that experience did happen to them.
Mm.
And if they feel like they can power through and move on the other side and keep going, But really and truly, they will never be the same, even if they think they are or they can go back to who they were. Like, there's just no way that you can experience that in life and see that
Hmm.
in your life and be the same. Like, something about you will shift. It will
Mm.
shift. Like, yeah. For example, one of my aunties really supports me on Instagram. She like she supports me in ways that yeah. And I've been told by my mum, not by her. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, been told by my mum that she's experienced a loss. I don't know at what point. It could have been between 4 and 6 months. I don't know. She's never spoken to me about this. But the way that she supports me, it lets me see that she probably relates, but has never
Mhm.
spoken. Because it's even things like, for example, the other day I posted something because I post in both Portuguese and English. And then she sent me a screenshot and was like, "Oh, you didn't put the Portuguese slide of this up, for example." And I was like,
Mhm.
you're really paying attention. And then as soon as I post, she's like the first person to like and comment, not comment, because she's very much like under the radar.
Mhm.
But yeah, and me, I grew up with her. She's one of my favorite aunties. Like I really consider her up here. And at no point did I know that this happened to her. So
Mhm.
as much as people like her might continue to live a life where you don't talk about what's happened, it has changed who she is because I don't think she would have been as empathetic as she is with caring about my posts and stuff if
If
she
you
hadn't
hadn't.
experienced that.
Mm.
Because out of the three aunties, she's probably the one who's a bit more hard-headed and probably wouldn't be that emotional. Do you get it? Whereas the aunties who are a bit more emotional don't even engage with what I post. So,
Mm.
yeah, I think it's quite clear. But some of the stuff that we were speaking about with pregnancy after loss, it was the anxiety of it all. Like, how do you navigate that? Like, when does it kick in? Are you anxious the whole time? Especially you, it's good to hear because you're really there right now. But are you
Mm.
anxious there the whole time, or does it become more anxious towards the time where you lost Eli? What's different between Dakota's pregnancy and this new pregnancy? Yeah.
Okay, so it's the whole, I wouldn't say the whole time. So I actually have been having to go through like solicitor stuff lately, and
Mm.
they've basically got all of my notes from therapy, which I've never seen. So I was literally reading them yesterday. So that's kind of like reminded me, and obviously I was pregnant with Dakota like throughout. So in these notes, it was about, how I was anxious. I hadn't had my 12-week scan. I couldn't feel excited, like I was adamant I was going to miscarry. And it's really weird because the exact same thing like happened this time round. Um, yeah, like I thought, yeah, I couldn't get excited. But even like you have the scan, you're, reassured that everything's all right. You come out of the scan and then it's like you still can't believe it. Like it's just like I don't associate, like I can't mentally associate that I'm pregnant. I obviously am pregnant. I know I'm pregnant, but I can't feel like I can make a connection with this baby. And I was the same with Dakota because I mean I was adamant Dakota wouldn't make it. Like I was adamant the whole time, and I had all these extra scans and the I've got so I've got the same team as I had before, which I was quite surprised at. And I've got a bereavement sonographer, and she is amazing. Like she is the most empathetic person I've actually met since losing Eli. Like she's just amazing. And even like to Dean as well, she's very much considerate of how he is and make sure he's doing all right. Anyway, and yeah, like she'll go through all of these in-depth scans. They're like 45 minutes to an hour time, and I'm fine in there. But as soon as I walk out, I'm like, I have to kind of try and forget that I'm pregnant, which is so crazy because, yeah, I mean, yeah, literally.
Yeah. I can relate to that.
Mm,
The detachment and
mm,
you're like a shell of yourself. You almost feel like a ghost and you're watching yourself. You're not really living it and you want to enjoy the
mhm,
pregnancy. You want to do certain things, but you can't because you just
mm,
have this overriding fear that something could very much happen because it has
Yeah,
already happened. Um,
yeah.
I mean, for me, it was quite similar where yeah, I didn't feel like I was pregnant as well. And I couldn't wait for it to be over. Like, just to get this baby out of here. This is taking way too long.
Hmm.
Moving too much, moving too little, that's a problem. I need to go in. I was in every other, like, at least twice or once a week, to be very
Mm.
honest. But
Mm.
that mostly kicked in at the end. And it's really weird because, like, when I became pregnant, actually, after losing Mila, my first reaction was, I will never have any other children. I do not want to go through this
I
again.
was the same.
Yeah, like I was like, how the hell do women put themselves through this by having more children after experiencing something like this? It doesn't make sense. Like that is torture. And I do feel it is, to be honest. And
It
so,
is. It's literally like you're literally going through reliving your trauma, aren't you?
yeah, yeah. It's
Really
like
is.
having a car accident, like a really bad one, and the next day
Mm.
you're like, let me get back in the car. Like, surely you're going to be a bit weary with cars, but
Yeah.
clearly not. So, so yeah, I remember then when I became pregnant, when I decided that I'd wanted to be pregnant again, was like because of that aching arms feeling. So I was like, no, I can't do this. I need
Mm.
to have a baby to hold. Obviously, I wanted Mila, but I just need to hold like a baby. And so yeah, when I became, I'm trying to remember what I wanted to say. Like my brain, the brain fog is real, guys. So when I became pregnant, the third time that I'm saying the same thing, um, I was like, no, I can do this. I don't know how in the hell I thought I could, because I said I became pregnant in February and I lost Milo in March. And my whole thing was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to be anxious. Why would I be anxious? And I remember I went to one of my first face-to-face appointments and the doctor was like, yeah, because you might start to feel anxious. And in my head, I was like, no, I won't. Like, I've got this. Honestly, who the fuck do I think I am? So in the beginning, I thought, okay, this is going to go okay. Like, because my loss was later, I was like, I can, this is okay. Then I had like an internal scan and they saw that there was two eggs. There was two no, there was two sacs. And so that was my 6 week scan. There was two sacs and then they went to check the following week or a couple of weeks after to see if it was twins. So it was literally called a viable twin pregnancy or whatever it is. I don't know if that was the terminology. And when I went back, the twin didn't develop. So then they were like, oh, it might come by as blood or it might attach. And I was like, no, I don't want to be seeing blood already connected to this. And it's weird because was that a twin? I don't know. I don't know. I don't,
Interesting. I never knew that.
yeah. I
Okay.
always forget that as well. And then God, sorry. And then when I finally came towards like the 30-ish week, that's when everything started going insane. And that's when I started looking for the helplines because I just couldn't do this journey alone. I contacted my bereavement midwife, who I hadn't spoken to since like January. And I said, I need help. I can't do this. I'm pregnant again. I just can't do this. And then she asked me to come in they were having a service for babies. But yeah, that pregnancy was a whole blur, man. I just couldn't wait for it to be over. It wasn't
Mm.
like fun. Oh, this is, exciting. I don't care for a baby shower, don't care for a gender reveal. Like for Myla, I was like, yes, I don't want to know the gender. Like, write it down. Do you think I was doing that? And I cried when I found out that Arinze was not a girl.
Same. Well, no, other way around. I cried when I found out Dakota was a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's like a
crazy. Oh,
whole, yeah, it
what's
is. I,
that
I
like for
was the
you?
same though. I was the same. Like I had baby showers, Eli, I had everything. And then, I actually realised as well, so obviously I told the people who I saw, I mean, it was pretty obvious I was pregnant, right? I actually only announced it a month before I had her, like officially on Facebook. And it was only because I was so worried that she was going to die and no one would know about her. And like, that's the whole thing. Like, I didn't buy her nothing, like, at all. Right. So I had all the Eli stuff anyway. So it weren't, I bought her nothing. And my mother-in-law actually, and my mum had like been buying stuff sort of behind my back. And then I was literally like a few weeks away and she'd washed it all for me and, like gave it to me. And I was like, I can't, my nieces were getting all excited, like, oh, she's not going to be here, it's going to be not long. And I literally was just like, I cannot get excited. Like, I was like, how can I even get excited? Like, after my history, like, how do I even know that she's going to make it? Like, and then it was only, I bought her one thing, which was a vest that says, Hello World, I'm Dakota. And it's only because I had that same vest for Eli that I wanted her to have the matching one, like when she was born, you know, in case something happened. But yeah, and that was the only thing I bought her
Yeah.
um, when I was pregnant. And even like the night before I went in to be induced, Dean got the Moses basket out and I had a meltdown. I couldn't look at it. It was like haunting me because that was the same, like it was just an empty Moses basket. It just haunted me so much, and it literally, yeah, it was not nice.
Yeah. I was same as well. So I didn't tell anyone at all unless you saw me. And if you saw me, I'll be like, yeah, there's a baby
Yeah,
here, whatever.
same.
Um, and then I guess I messaged a few people when after I had given birth, like on the day of giving birth, that's when I started contacting family to say, oh, I've got a little boy. Even one of my aunties who came to visit me when I was in the hospital with Mila, she was like, you what? I didn't even know you were pregnant. I was like, yeah.
Mm,
And actually my dad did a lot of like telling people as well. And then with buying stuff, I flat out refused to buy a single thing. Like I don't want to do that. I can't put myself through the pain of going to any store to look up baby stuff without knowing whether he's going to be here or not.
mm,
However, at my job, so I work as a recruiter and I was recruiting a girl to work in the schools that I've got. And I was looking at her CV, and then it said that she worked in a charity. So I was just started asking her about, oh, what is the work that you do, blah, blah, blah. And then she was explaining that in this charity, and actually, this is what saved me a lot throughout my whole pregnancy after loss, which is crazy that it was just by chance that I met someone and that this wasn't actually something that was given to me as a resource. So I asked her about the charity, and she explained that basically they have lots of hand-me-downs or yeah, things that haven't been used for women who are about to give birth. So this could be stuff like for you that you need, like breast pads. It could be not breast pad, milk. Is it called breast pads?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's that.
for the milk. Also pads for when you're bleeding after you've given birth. Some stuff to put on your injections, the cream to put on your nipples, and then lots and lots and lots of clothes for babies, like so much, tons, and nappies. So as soon as I heard her say that, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to go to this charity. It was local to me, it's a church. And in fact, me and her are actually really good friends now. She really like she follows the stuff that I do for Minus Present and supports me a lot. Um, but when I went there, like literally Chelsea, majority of Arinze's clothes from 0 to 6 months was from there, and they were so perfect, stuff that hadn't even been used yet. It was so like well looked after. And they gave me about three massive heavy duty bags, and I took them home
Mm.
with me. And also you can donate them back after if you want to, which I still haven't done, but they are packed away to do.
And you
Um,
have to do this,
I
yeah.
know, how bad is that? And then what else? So they also work with a charity called Sister Circle. When I told them about my history, they were like, "Oh, are you with Sister Circle?" I said no. They're like, "How comes you're not with Sister Circle?" Yada yada yada. I signed up with Sister Circle. What Sister Circle does is you are paired up with a one-to-one, or you can go to like group meetings. It's completely up to you how you want to engage. And they support you throughout your pregnancy. Now, this is something that is available to women who are having babies, whether it's your first baby, whether it's your 10th baby, and also if you've experienced loss, right? They meet you at your house. For free, by the way, meet you at your house. They go to appointments with you. They help you plan your birth plan. They help you advocate for yourself. And when I joined, I said, okay, great, I'll do this. But whoever is working with me needs to have had a loss. Like, I'm not going to work with anyone unless they have li lived experience. And it was also very important to me that the person was black as well, so that they understood my journey and my life journey and all that kind of stuff. And I was lucky that they found the perfect woman. Her name is Alexa. And so Alexa came to my house. She came to every single appointment with me that, let's say, Robert couldn't come because he was in hospital at work. And she would also like work with me and say, okay, have you written down all the questions that you need to ask? Have you thought about this question? How about this question? What would you like to ask? And the first thing she said to me before we started working together was, what do you want from me? And I was like, what do you mean? What do I want from you? Like, you're supposed to tell me, like, you're supposed to just help me. But actually, it was really good that she asked that because then I really had to think about what is the support that I need. And she was able to provide exactly what I needed. And I'm so grateful. And whoever I meet, I always tell them about Sister Circle because it is so supportive.
Is it just local to you then?
Yes, but they've got
Um,
like other branches.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, that charity was basically a life, a godsend. Like it saved me, really.
Yeah, that sounds amazing, to be fair. We've got like nothing like that around my way. I mean, you've got so many like amazing charities around you. I literally have nothing, like anything. So annoying. Anyway, but yeah, no, like I was gonna ask you actually, because you know you said about like you were crying when you found out the gender. That disappointment because you wanted another girl.
It was weird though, because like again, like babies don't replace babies, obviously. But I think it was more because I was expecting obviously to have a girl first of all, and I had everything prepared, and I had this whole thing of like how I'm going to support her to be like love herself and all this kind of stuff. And that relationship between mother and daughter, I really value. And like, I don't know, women are just amazing. Men are as well.
I know. I just wonder because it was yeah, like when we found out, Dean was really excited about having a girl, and I mean, I was disappointed. Like I was really disappointed. And then I think where I saw him being excited, like made me feel a bit better.
Yeah,
But I think, I mean, obviously, like in like our like circumstances, really, I didn't really care. But I just wanted Eli, which obviously was never going to happen. Just like you just wanted Milo and stuff. But yeah, like even like now, so I'm having another girl, and at the time, like before I found out, I was like, oh, it'd be really nice for to have a little sister, like to have that relationship. Like I've always wanted a sister, never had that, blah blah blah. And now I'm at a point where I'm so scared that I'll never have like a living boy. And I think as well for Dean, and I know Dean was disappointed this time round, probably won't admit it, but because he hasn't, you know, it's so hard because obviously Eli's our son, but we've never had that relationship with him, like
yeah,
living. Do you know what I mean? And it's just hard, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. Like it is hard to just accept that their life just took a pause. Like
Mm,
I won't say full stop, but it's just like it was just halted. Like, ah, it's mad.
it
It's
is. And
mad.
it's like so I was trying for Dakota for like 6 months. Um, that was horrific. The trying to conceive journey. I know you didn't really have to go through that. It was so horrible. And I remember like I knew I was weren't pregnant, but I'd still take a test,
Yeah,
and obviously it's negative, and then I come on my period, and every single time I came on my period, it was just like a major trigger.
yeah,
Um, it was awful. I didn't have to try it as long this time, but I actually found out on Eli's birthday, so I took that as like a little nod from him this time round. But yeah, it's just different. It's so hard. And when like someone even said to me the other day, "Oh, you're getting excited," I was like, I actually did say my grand though, someone at work. I was like, I looked at him, I was like, no. And he looked at me and was like, shut up. Like as if I was joking. I was like, no, I'm not. He was like, really? I was like, hon, let me tell you. I said, if I said, I know birth as death. How can I be
Yeah,
excited when that's my experience? Yes,
yeah,
I'll be excited when she's in my arms and I know she's all right. Yeah, I'll be happy then. But I can't feel excited until I have that moment. And even then, I know full well that I'm going to be a nervous wreck, like I was with Dakota, like I am with Dakota even now. Like, is she breathing?
yeah.
Like pulling up in my car and stuff to make sure she is breathing, and like all of the trauma that comes with parenting after loss, you know?
That's
Because
so,
it's not just here's your rainbow baby, everything's all happy and help, you know. It's not like that. It's such a worry, like even now. And I am lucky, like I'm at work now, back to work. I'm really lucky that I've got my in-laws looking after Dakota, but I don't know how I would cope, if I'm honest, leaving her with strangers. Even though I used to work in a nursery and I know, you know, whatever, but the
still.
thought of leaving her with anyone else other than her grandparents, even now, scares the absolute out of me. Like I can't do it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's,
You see, this is why language is so important because people, okay, so some people don't like saying, for example, my baby died. And I'm very mindful of the language I use when I'm speaking with other parents. But when it's like other people around me who don't know what this lived experience is like, I make sure to use those very explicit words because it's like they don't compute the fact that you gave birth to a baby who died or, yeah, died inside of you. You also could have almost lost your life, all these things. And sometimes it's like, do you want me to actually paint a picture? Do you want me
mm,
to paint a picture so you can understand how it's not such a walk in the park? It's not so easy. No, I'm not excited. It's like people always
mm,
think that it's just a moment. But if you were to sit down with someone and describe each particular moment of the things that happen to you, they would be more mindful of the things they say. And even like the term rainbow baby, for example, I now refrain from using that as much because like when other people hear that, they're thinking, well, now she's fine. She's got the rainbow that she's wanted. Like everything is fine. It's all
mm,
magical now, right? Now she's gonna have two rainbows. And it's like you're now forgetting not just the fact that my son's died, but the entire experience of that. You
mm.
can't just like
Undo it.
you said it so correctly. You said, I know birth as death. Girl, it
Mm,
doesn't matter how many, let's imagine you have a million living children.
mm,
You still had one who didn't. And
mm,
that sticks. And as we know, like negative experiences always stick with us, but it's not just a negative experience. That is your child, that is your flesh and bone.
mm.
Oh, yeah.
It's true.
I, you said something as well about how, oh, what was it that you said? Okay, I'll just go to what I was thinking. Um, crying a lot about like checking if she was like Dakota's
Yeah,
breathing.
yeah, yeah.
And all my days on the way home with Arinze, first of all, when I gave birth to him, I kept looking at him and being like, oh my God, you're here. Like, you're actually here. Like, crying the whole time, you're here, you're here, you're here. And then there was a moment where my family and Robert were like, oh, do you want, they kind of wanted to go and rest. And I said, yeah, go home. Like, I'm happy to just have this moment with him. And it was just so surreal. And then the moment where we had to go home now, where I had to put him in the car seat, we had a doona and it's very like compact, very tight, very small. And I think that's how it's supposed to be anyway for babies, because it's supposed to be quite like you're supposed to cushion them. But I was so certain that it was squashing him and that it would block his breathing and that he would die. And then like I kept being like, is he in correctly? Is he in correctly? And my family was like, why are you so stop? Like they kept saying to me, why are you being like this? And I started crying, like, you lot don't understand. You don't understand what it means. Like he could die. Like, ugh. It was just, I was
Mm,
crying so much and they didn't understand why I was crying. And even now, for example, I feel like it's affected not only me, but it's affected my mum and dad. So Arinze's got like a constant blocked nose all the time. He snores so bad as he sleeps. And then he sometimes goes like that, as if he's lost
Oh, yeah.
trying to catch his breath, like he can't breathe. And I would always go to the GP because my dad is like, you need to go to the GP. This is not normal. Every day my dad would be like, no, he shouldn't be like this. What's gonna happen to the well, the same. So every time I went to the GP, they would just be like, "Oh, this is normal. This is just a normal cold." Da, 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 da. Later on, I kept going, and then I found out he's got adenoids, which is like some meat that is basically blocking your nose and blocking your breathing. And especially if you got a cold, it gets really congested. So,
Hmm.
like till this day, since he was born, he still breathes like that. And so we're gonna have next month like a mini surgery thing, and I'm shitting bricks.
Mm. I know. I remember she was only like 2 weeks old, and like I think it was only a birthmark, but because it came up after she was born, obviously that was it. I took her, and to be fair, our doctor's very understanding. Like she's known us for a while and knows our history and stuff. And we went to a skin like clinic and stuff like that. Anyway, it was fine. Like it is just literally a birthmark that come after she was born. But oh my gosh, I was like, she's got cancer. This is
Oh,
it.
no.
And I was just like, oh yeah, yeah, it's just mad. Like something so little like that, it's literally just, and I am really lucky in the sense that she don't really get sick. She don't really, if she was getting sick all the time, I'd be like a nervous wreck.
Yeah.
Like just from that, I was literally like, and I'm still the same now. Like I think that's another reason like why I'm pregnant. No, like I'm worried, so worried that I'm gonna run out of time or Dean's gonna run out of time. Or yeah, so I'm like, yeah.
It's crazy, because for us, for us having a second loss, right, is
Mm,
just a thought kind of thing that overrides our pregnancy and overrides. But there are people out there who really do go on to lose a second time and more,
mm,
like multiple times, and early losses and late losses. Like, damn, it's so hard.
mm, yeah.
It's so hard to compute as well, like how the world also just sort of expects you to keep going and says dumb shit like lightning doesn't strike twice. You can't say
Right,
that
so
stuff.
let me tell you something, okay? When I was pregnant with Dakota, I met this lovely girl. She was so nice. So I go to clinic on a Thursday, which I think it's basically problem women like me go, right? And she had the same consultant and stuff. And there was something that she said once, and it made me want to speak to her because I was like, I know what you've been through. You know, I want to talk to you. So anyway, we was like, she basically had a little boy that died as well. Very similar story to like mine. We went met up for coffee, and her little girl was due the exact same day as Dakota. And anyway, the consultant said to both of us, lightning doesn't strike twice. Anyway, it happened again to her little girl. And I was like, it was devastating. And I can't remember what it was. She had like, I think she was anemic, and they had to induce her like early, and she just didn't survive. And like, I mean, I don't speak to her anymore because obviously she didn't want to have not nothing to do with me, but it was too triggering. And obviously, I get that being what we've gone through. But
Of
I'll never forget that. And I often always think of her and like obviously her son and her little girl. And it's like, it's mad. And like literally he said that to her as well. And I'm just like, how do you need to stop saying stuff like that? Like, because it does strike twice. Like, you
it's
know?
people have to be so careful with their messaging of hope because
Mm,
you know, life isn't the same for everyone. And the fact that people can have multiple losses or people who can't have any more children after, like, where's the conversations being had about them? Even when I think about like different charities, I often just feel like they just cater to like people who've experienced one loss or maybe a few losses, but they don't really talk about the pain and the lived experience of people who maybe they don't want any more children for whatever reason that is, which is valid because of what we've experienced. Like, why would you want to put yourself through that again? So completely
Mm.
understand. And then people who can't, and it's not their choice. Like where are we? Where are those voices? I know them personally. I know a few people, and then also the people who just keep having recurrent losses. Like, where is the support for them? Where is the vocalization of these stories? Like, there needs to be so much more representation across the board. And, it's ugly what we've been through, but it still deserves to be spoken about, like, because people deserve to
Ugly
have
is
space,
nice.
especially your friend, right? Because now, how is she feeling? Like, how isolated is she?
Mm. Well, she was quite quiet as well, like didn't really speak about her son. And I was probably one of the only sort of people that she actually opened up to. And obviously, other than her family, not a lot of her family were that supportive either. But obviously, she messaged me before I had Dakota and just said like, oh, I'm really sorry, but I can't sort of speak to you. And I was like, I totally get that. Like, like you haven't got to reply to me. I'm sending whatever. Like, but like, I often like wonder about her now. Um, and I'd love to, but obviously I wouldn't do that because it's like I don't want to trigger her off. But I did ask so I've got like the bereavement midwife at my new hospital. We had the same one. So I asked her because she lived near my work. So there was often
Mm.
times I used to drive past her. She didn't see me or anything, but I'd sort of like, and I hadn't seen her for a while. So I asked my bereavement midwife, like, how is she? But she's moved away now. I don't know where or anything. But yeah, I was sort of like every time I drive to work, I hadn't seen her for a while, and I was like worrying and stuff. So yeah, it's
It's
hard.
weird because, it's one of those things where maybe reaching out is good, but then I also understand how that could absolutely be triggering.
Mm. Like
Um,
I'd love to. I think about it all the time, and then I'm like, no, because if I was her, like I don't want to trigger her off because obviously Dakota's fine. Like, do you know what I mean?
I don't know. Do you have contact with her?
No, I literally haven't. I haven't spoke to her since she saw me when I was at work. I went out for lunch and she saw me pregnant and she said, "Oh, like, I'm
Because
sorry,
isn't
I
it the same
can't."
with like people in our lives who we expected? Mm, I mean, obviously, there's a difference when someone's your close friend, right? Or
Mm.
family. Then obviously you do have expectations of them to contact you. But I wonder if it's because I completely understand the sentiment of it being, you don't want to trigger her because if it was you, but sometimes we can't put ourselves in those positions because we're not that person. We don't know whether they would like to or not. So you can
Mm.
always just be like thinking of you or something, and that's that. And no pressure to respond or something. Just
Yeah, maybe
go.
maybe I will. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because
hard
that's
though
how
as
we
well because
feel.
they've got the same due date as well. So I'm like,
Yeah.
and I feel guilty, that I've got mine and she didn't. But
But
yeah.
isn't that how we feel when I have a friend similarly who Mila was supposed to be born the same day that her daughter was born, and she never contacted me, and I hoped that she would have. So
Mm.
even though I would have obviously been triggered because she gets to have her daughter,
Mm.
same time, same child as in being a girl. So because in that moment you have left the ball in her court. Because yes, we might feel triggered, but at the same time we are being acknowledged and we don't have to comment after that.
Mm.
I don't know. It is a hard one though,
Mm.
because that's the same boat that we are. really.
Yeah, literally.
And I'm
I
sure
know
that
it's
these are the
mad.
conversations people have. Oh, should I message her? Well, I don't know if I should.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
It is
on that,
literally like the ball on the other foot, isn't it
isn't
now?
it? On that
Yeah.
note, though, we do have to get going. I don't know if we
Yeah.
spoke a lot about the things that we
No,
thought of
we
on pregnancy
haven't.
after loss, but I do think it was quite a good conversation anyway.
Yeah, yeah,
So
definitely.
we could call this the rekindle or whatever. Also, I do want to put out there that we are going to have a third person joining our podcast. I did a podcast with her, interview one to one. Her name is Wunmi, and it was talking about, her son, Coyote, and that will be up soon. I think maybe after this. Do you have an interview with someone already or no?
Yeah, I've got one booked in.
Okay. So yeah, then soon we will have somebody joining us and there'll be more chats and hopefully more episodes because then we can work across each other.
Oh well,
Oh
we
well,
move.
we're back.
We are back.
It's been nice chatting. Um,
Yes.
yeah.